The Higher Taste features Peter Burwash, world-renowned Davis Cup tennis pro, author and lecturer, and president of Peter Burwash International, with vegetarian gourmet chef Nancy Rossi. In today's special, Vegetarian Cuisine for the Athlete.
"16 years ago, I made an adjustment in the way I ate. I became a vegetarian. Now, I'm on the road about 300 days a year, and many years ago, that was a big problem, but today it's becoming a lot easier. Many of the hotels are putting vegetarian cuisine on their menus. The airlines have made it very easy to order special vegetarian meals, and there are vegetarian restaurants springing up in almost every city around the world. But you know, as much as the food has improved on the road, nothing beats a good home-cooked meal. Now, my good friend Nancy is going to teach you and I how to prepare vegetarian food. And what are we going to look at here today, Nancy?
Well, we're going to prepare a couple of different preparations. Start the morning off with a scrambled omelet, similar to scrambled eggs, without the eggs, of course. And then you're going to be out on the courts all day, so work up a good appetite, and you'll come home and we'll have a lasagna Italian feast for dinner this
Wonderful.
evening. So we're starting off here with boiling the milk, a simple way. You're making actually homemade cheese that is going to resemble an omelet when we finish here.
When you say resemble, will it also taste like an omelet?
Even better. That's what everyone says that tries this. They really like it much better. It seems to have a very wonderful taste. What we do is take the milk to a rapid boil. Now it's got to be a rumbling boil, just about now. And then you're going to add some fresh lemon to it. Lemon is usually practical because everyone has it in the refrigerator. If not, you can use citrus acid, sour salt you can get in any market usually.
Okay.
Now you just pour enough in. Maybe for this amount of milk, 2 tablespoons should do it. There you go.
And this is not difficult for a bachelor to prepare? Or
Anyone.
Anyone can do this?
Just
You sure?
Just need a pot, milk, bring it to a boil, and once it boils, just pour this lemon juice in. And you can see immediately now, you turn the heat off, turn off the flame, and then it starts to separate. And this is like curds and whey, in essence, what you're making. If you look here, you can see.
Very much. Looks almost like eggs, just a little bit of coloring, and we've got it.
So what you do is just simply, in a colander or cheesecloth, you just strain your cheese right here, and you're going to just let it set and strain for about 10 minutes. Pour this off.
Now, this entire process of preparing this, how long would it take? A lot of people are really concerned in the morning. You know, they're rushing around. They've got up late. They got to get to work.
This will set for 10 minutes. While it's setting, we are going to heat up some ghee, and we're going to fry some potatoes that are going to go right inside the omelet.
What is ghee exactly?
You'd simply boil butter down to make ghee, and all the impurities come out of it, so it's a very pure, excellent cooking medium. It's been said that if you use ghee to cook vegetables, fruits, and so forth, that you will lose that desire. It very much satisfies the desire and the taste we have for eating meat. And let's face it, we all grew up on a meat diet.
Yeah, that's pretty important, because that's, you know, whenever you ask someone why they eat meat, almost all of their reasons are because it tastes good. And when people who do study and understand the concept of a vegetarian way of life, the only argument really left at the end is that, you know, meat does taste good. So if you can satisfy this, this is a wonderful substitute.
As I said, when you cook with ghee, it doesn't soak up the oil. Rather, it cooks it at a very high temperature very quickly and leaves it a very nice flavor.
Another interesting factor is that people think they can lower their cholesterol count by way of exercise. Well, that's pretty much of a myth. You could probably take it down a few percentage points, but Nathan Pritikin's son, who is also a doctor, found that on a vegetarian diet, you can lower your cholesterol count 25% in 3.5 weeks. So what this means is that, let's say someone had a cholesterol count of around 210, 220, they could get into the safe zone on a vegetarian diet in 3.5 weeks. And this is pretty darn important because we're losing a lot of people from our population each year because of a heart attack. They eat too much cholesterol.
So you can see how beautifully this ghee cooks. Very quickly. You can get it so hot.
Exactly, boy.
And they just look really nice. And we'll just set them right over here on the side on a paper towel quickly. Great. Okay, now the next step here, we're simply going to take this wok. Wok is very nice to cook with. You can stir fry very quickly and keep everything moving around real nice. And we'll just take a little bit of this hot ghee here. Maybe 2 tablespoons is all. So here we're going to just heat up this ghee again until it gets hot and smokes. And we're going to be using a few different spices. That is the key to excellent vegetarian cooking, is the spicing. And some of these spices you may not be familiar with. You can pick actually most of these up today at the health food store. The first one we're going to use here is cumin seed. And we're just going to take about a teaspoon of cumin and brown it right in here in this ghee, real quick. It'll cook very quickly.
Now, in the beginning, is a lot of this just kind of trial and error in terms of the proportion of the spices that you use, or is there a...
No, I have some excellent recipes that I'll be sharing with you, but really, you just want to put about a teaspoon of cumin for a gallon of milk that you're making. And I've cut up some green peppers here, and we'll just throw these in. So we'll have a green pepper, tomato, and cheese omelet today.
Great.
There we go. We're just going to stir fry these up real quick until the green pepper just maybe lightly browned. You still want to keep them green and crisp. Don't want to overcook them. Now the next thing we're going to do is just put maybe about a half a stick of butter in there. 2 tablespoons approximately for that amount of milk.
Now, is there an order here? You said you're going to use the tomatoes.
The tomatoes will go in a little bit afterwards. This butter is excellent to cook this milk curd in. And you just cook it down just a little bit, and then we're going to add some powdered spices. These spices, the turmeric right here, will give the little delicate yellow flavor. And you'll see once we cook this all up how much it will look just like eggs.
And that's important psychologically, too, that people actually, because they become so conditioned from a young age to think that they should be eating something
right.
looks like just like eggs in the morning.
That's right. Just maybe a half a teaspoon of this is all you need.
Okay.
Just throw that right in. And we're going to put a little ground coriander. All of these spices you can get in specialty shops, but now they are all available at the health food stores. And they have so many values. Not only nutritively, they aid digestion, purify the blood. Sometime we'll have a full class and go over all the different spices and how they can really benefit. And this spice, hing, is very nice. It's actually a substitute for onions and garlic, and I know a lot of people have difficulty with digestion with onions and garlic. About a half a teaspoon of hing.
That's similar to asafoetida?
Asafoetida or hing. You can get that. Some health food stores do carry that.
Right.
Sometimes you will have to go to a specialty shop for that. Most Asian shops will carry that. And the spices really make a big difference here. The next step, we'll just take these fresh tomatoes that we've cut up here. Right into the wok they go. You know, when you cook in this very simple way, you can actually savor and really actually rediscover the natural, delicious taste and quality that fresh food and vegetables have. So, I know even now in restaurants you think you're getting real eggs and you're not. You can see that this is really shaping up and looking more and more like scrambled eggs. When I'm making this today, we're using fresh green pepper, tomato. The varieties are endless. You can make spinach.
Ooh,
you
that
can
sounds great,
spinach and cheese omelet. You could put broccoli. It's just up to your imagination what you'd like to do, but I thought green pepper and tomato would be nice. We're just going to sprinkle a very little bit of salt. One of the wonderful things about cooking with spicing and learning how to cook with spicing is you really don't need very much salt at all. And because the spices and the cooking very quickly and the ghee actually enhance the flavor of food. And as you know, most Americans, they just salt and pepper their food to the point of, you know, very little, just a little bit of salt and pepper here. And if you could just kind of stir that a little bit, we're just going to garnish this with a little cheese.
You're going to get me involved here, are you?
There you go.
All
right there.
One of the things, too, that when I first switched over to becoming a vegetarian, Nancy, was I took an awful lot of ribbing.
I bet you did.
Yeah, when I was on the professional tennis tour. In fact, I remember one time playing with Marty Reeson, who was one of the world's best doubles players at the time in the early 70s, said that if I didn't have so many carrots hanging out my ears, I'd be a lot faster. And in fact, even speaking of the carrot story, one of my radio talk shows I was doing one time, a lady called up and said, you know, my husband is a construction worker. I can't send him out with a carrot in his stomach. And, you know, there's a great misconception about vegetarian food. Many people don't think that you can actually have A, the variety, and B, get filled up, and C, be quite strong. And that was also very helpful for me, too. When I switched over to being a vegetarian 1 year after doing that, I ended up with the highest fitness index of any athlete in Canada. My left-hand strength increased 38%. And that was a great booster for me because, you know, the first year everybody told me, you know, I was going to die. My father thought I'd flipped out, as most parents do, and when their children make an adjustment. And what really amazed me was the fact that most people were really very ignorant of what food did for you. You know, they just felt that if you didn't eat meat and fish and poultry, you were a goner.
Now, I put these fried potatoes in here just very quickly, stirring them around, and I've grated some fresh cheese. This is rennetless cheese. You can get it in any health food store. Rennet comes from animals. It comes from the stomach linings of animals, and actually most health food stores, well, all health food stores, certainly even supermarkets today now, carry cheese that you can get without rennet in it.
And it'll actually say rennetless cheese?
It says rennetless cheese right on the package.
Okay.
So you know that it's pure. Just sprinkle a little bit on here, turn your fire down, put the top on this, and our meal is ready. As soon as that cheese melts, we can serve out and have a delicious breakfast here. Now, Peter, let's open this up and take a look and see how this looks.
Wonderful.
See, the cheese just melts naturally, right? Just cover it up from the heat. And, you know, you can serve out a nice breakfast or a brunch to friends, and it doesn't look like something foreign, like they've never seen before. You know, people think vegetarian, oh, what are they going to eat? Here's a very attractive-looking preparation that looks very familiar.
Really does. Looks just like scrambled eggs.
You can serve this up with any number of things, but we suggest here a fresh, homemade raisin bran muffin. It just really complements nicely with your meal as the roughage you need, and you have a well-balanced, healthful, nutritious way to start your day.
It's great.
Now we're going to show you some dinner recipes. We have minestrone soup, spinach lasagna, we have a fresh salad, green beans, and Peter, I hope you've worked up a good appetite. You ready for all this?
Sure have, Nancy.
Okay. What we started first here, and you can see we've already prepared, is just a fresh Italian salad. You can create anything your imagination desires with a salad. We've used romaine lettuce, fresh tomatoes, olives, avocado, carrots, and so forth, but it's just unlimited. There are so many different varieties of lettuce besides iceberg lettuce, which I think is the lowest on the scale of nutritive value when you talk about lettuce.
Right.
Very simply, we're going to make a nice minestrone soup. You just put about a tablespoon or so of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. And just pour a little olive oil in here. Simple enough. Heat that up just a little bit. And I mentioned to you a spice earlier called hing or asafoetida, which is likened to onions and garlic, easier to digest.
Right.
Just a little bit we want to put in here, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon in there. There we go. Now I get this. Just saute lightly. This is cabbage. We'll add a little bit of time to the soup. Next, we throw in some diced up tomatoes. Stir fry that a little more. Then I added a few garbanzo beans.
Okay.
Maybe a half a cup soaked garbanzo beans. Turn this heat up
Now,
just
did they
a little
come
bit more.
as they are, or did you have to pre-cook?
You can buy garbanzo beans so that they're already pre-cooked. I soaked these. You can bring them to a boil and then just let them soak for 8 hours and they're fine, and then you just put them in here with a little bit of, this is freshly cut parsley And simple enough, we just have to add approximately 5 cups of water. We'll put the lid on and just let it cook down a little bit, and then we'll add some more vegetables as we move along. But this will just get us going a little bit.
As you're preparing this, is there set order for vegetables to go in, or?
Well, there is. You want to put your beans in, as I've done here first, especially if they're not fully cooked, because they'll take longer
Right.
to cook. So you kind of want to get those on right away. And in a sequence here, we'll be adding some carrots, celery, zucchini, potatoes, and then is a little bit of a garnish with some Parmesan cheese, and you're all set.
Great.
We'll put a little barley in there as well towards the end. So, okay, now while this soup is simmering along, before we add the other ingredients, what we want to do is get our sauce on, because to make a really good tomato sauce, you want it to set and cook down a little bit, so all the spices cook in that sauce and really add some nice flavor. Now we need to add, again, just a little bit of olive oil, maybe 2 tablespoons in the bottom of the pan.
When I was growing up and had a chance to possibly play professional hockey just at one level below, we were trained on a big steak dinner. In fact, many athletes up until just recently were trained on that. And now we're seeing many of the training tables switching to the carbohydrate type dinners, so the lasagnas. In fact, Italian food is becoming very, very popular.
We're blending up, just very quickly, pureeing some Italian tomatoes with a little basil in there.
We're just starting to become very much aware and sensitive to the proper balance of foods that should go in. For example, in 1965, most of the charts said you should have 50% of your food intake should be protein. And then the charts in 1975 somehow or other switched to 30%. And today, 1985-86 era, they're talking about 10% of your food intake. And I'm sure we're going to, in fact, the World Health Organization even says 5%. And what the athletes are now eating more and more of are carbohydrates. And what this does is it's your long-term breakdown into glycogen, which is your muscle sugar. And that's why you'll see a lot of the triathletes and the marathon runners. They will have lots of pasta before their event, lots of spaghetti and the noodles and the rice and the potatoes and things like that. So the Italian restaurants, the Italian food markets are very excited about this new trend in food because it fits in very nicely. And in fact, something like the vegetarian lasagna is becoming a very popular meal for athletes.
Let's just tell you what's going on with this sauce just a little bit. We just put the olive oil on the bottom of the pan and a little of that asafoetida, and then put some of these Italian tomatoes in here. And now we just want to add a little bit of water and spice it up with some herbs, Italian herbs, oregano, basil, a little salt and pepper. You want to add, approximately 2 cups of water here to this, and then the sauce will cook down slowly with 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and it really, all the herbs flavor comes out, and it'll make it a really wonderful taste. So I'm putting just a little bit of salt and pepper here, and put about a tablespoon of oregano. No, maybe a teaspoon of oregano for this amount of sauce. We're making just a smaller batch here. While all this is happening, we're going to just boil the noodles as well. And this will all orchestrate and come together in a very nice fashion. But we're going to boil some whole wheat noodles. There are many different noodles you can buy today to make lasagna. These are just whole wheat noodles that you can pick up at the health food store. And they're 100% whole wheat noodles. They have spinach noodles now and
artichoke noodles, yeah.
Great variety. So there's a lot of different things you can do. We're going to make whole wheat spinach lasagna tonight. So once this water boils and we put these, let's see, it might be ready here. Yes, great. Now, again, you just want to put a little bit of oil because noodles tend to stick together. So if you just put a touch of oil in there and a little bit of salt in the water as well. Not too much. You don't really need very much at all. Maybe half a teaspoon salt in there. And when you, in cooking lasagna, you don't want it, you just want to slide the noodles in real kind of one at a time in a full boil, or else they will stick together. So I know that's a problem sometimes when people cook. Just slide them in gently. There you go, simple, full boil.
Are you trying now just to get them soft? Is that the goal of
Yeah, they're not, in Italian it's al dente. You don't want to really cook them to death, just a little bit. Right, because you're going to bake them in the oven, so you don't want them to be, you know, like mush. Now we want to just check back on this soup just a little bit here. It's looking good. Then you just add your carrots and your celery. You're going to let that cook another maybe 10 minutes. And then the vegetables that cook very quickly here, potatoes, zucchini. Let's put in a
Potato cooks quickly, does it?
Yeah, when it's diced like this, you see,
Right.
they cook very quickly.
Because baked potatoes always seem to take such a long time. That's interesting, because, you know, if I was working this, I would have put the potatoes in first. It was almost like the reverse order, so this is quite an education.
Just, they'll cook very quickly diced like this. Now here, we have a little barley, and we'll go ahead and put this barley in now, because that takes a little bit longer. All right, this sauce is looking really nice. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. You want to put a little bit of, I've got some raw sugar, and you always want to put a little bit of sugar in a tomato. Maybe a teaspoon is all you need, just a little bit.
What does that do?
Well, tomatoes tend to be a little bit acidic.
Acidic, right.
And
Okay.
a little bit just balances off enough, so you don't want a sweet sauce, but...
You got to have quite a few hands in the kitchen, right? People don't appreciate this sometimes. All the meal just appears on the plate and...
They don't realize. See, now look, here we go. You want to maybe rinse a little bit of it with a little cool water for this, any excess starch we don't need in the diet.
Okay.
And just drain these lightly.
Okay, so here come the potatoes. Those are the ones I would have put in first. All right.
And we'll put a little zucchini in here as well. You can put it about right in with the potatoes there. There we go. Great. Peter, we just put a touch of olive oil on the bottom of this pan just so that the noodles don't stick when we're going to bake this in the oven. And then we're just going to layer these noodles and this stuffing on. Spinach.
What are we doing here now, by the way?
Well, we're just going to spice up. This is the ricotta cheese filling that will go in the between the noodles. And we basically we have ricotta cheese and some fresh ground Parmesan cheese and a little bit different spices. Not too much actually is needed here. Little herbs, little oregano, salt, and pepper. And you want to just kind of knead it, stir it till you get a nice creamy consistency here. And then we are just going to layer your noodles down the bottom of your casserole here. You put a little sauce on the bottom of the pan there. We simply kind of spoon this on. This is when gets fun. You can kind of use your little fingers a little bit.
Back to when you were playing in the playpen,
right?
Right. Out in the
Play-Doh.
sand. Yeah. So we're putting on spinach now.
That's just fresh spinach.
You don't just throw it on there. I notice you're separating it in thin layers.
Right. Rather than chopping it up, this is fresh spinach that's just been lightly steamed. You wash, of course, spinach very thoroughly, and you just need to steam it in a tiny bit of water, a tablespoon. And it's just very nice when it's just layered down like this. And then we sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top of here. Here we have a little bit of fresh mozzarella cheese. And we just want to kind of layer a little bit on here.
You know, you've got the two low-fat cheeses here, ricotta cheese and mozzarella cheese.
That's right. So they're high protein, but you're watching the fat intake as well. So we're right down to the finishing touches here. We just ladle on a little bit more of this sauce on the top. There we go. Great.
It smells good, as well as looks good.
And let's sprinkle on a little bit Parmesan. Finishing touch here.
Now, is this your little extra addition, this Parmesan, or is this...
No, that's...
The Italians brought it over, did they?
That's right.
Okay.
It's a very subtle taste, but it really enhances the lasagna. You need to have Parmesan. Although, you know, more people now, I'm just using mozzarella cheese here, but I know many people are using varieties of different Monterey Jack and different cheddars and being, again, a little bit more creative. And so, you know, you can really try and experiment with different blends of cheeses, different types of noodles and so forth, adding different vegetables. So we're just sliding this in the oven. The oven's on 350, and really about 30 minutes and this will be ready. The cheese will be bubbly and a little bit brown, not too much on the top, and it'll be all set. We just have a few finishing touches here to finish off our meal. You put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a fry pan, and now you have these steamed vegetables here, steamed green beans. And when it's really smoking, you put them in real quick. And we're going to stir fry them very quickly. And there's really not a lot of spicing required in this. The hot olive oil really adds a nice flavor. Just a very, very little bit of salt and a sprinkle of pepper, touch of hing, and you're all set. Tortilla. There we go. These are ready. This is ready. And our soup, as you can see, it's nice and thick and ready. All we do is just add about 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese in there. Give that a little stir. And we'll serve this piping hot. There we go. This practically in itself is a meal. You've got your garbanzo beans, fresh vegetables, and barley. Really, it is a meal within itself. There we go. You can serve that with a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese as a garnish. And the final touch, a little fresh parsley, and you have a complete, healthful vegetarian meal. I want all of you to know about 3 wonderful books that Peter has authored. The first one, Vegetarian Primer. Really, it covers all the aspects of vegetarianism he's discussed tonight, and there are even a few really nice recipes in the back of the book. He actually knows a little bit more about cooking than he's let on during this show. The next book, Aerobic Workout, Book for Men, is available as well. And I believe, was this your first book, Peter, Tennis for Life?
That's right. That started it all off, yeah.
That started it all off, Tennis for Life. And there's a little section on vegetarianism covered in the book as well. And Peter, I know you have to run off, but you might tell our viewers where they could get these books and where they'd be available for them.
Well, Nancy, there's still a few available in the bookstore, but the best place to order them would be through our world headquarters, Peter Burwash International, 2203 Timberlock Place, Suite 126, The Woodlands, Texas, 77380. Nancy, it's been great being here with you. I learned a lot, and it was a special opportunity to share with our viewers a very exciting future that vegetarianism does have.
Great. Have a safe flight, and we'll see you next time.
Will do. Thank you.